including our special liturgies online to reach more people who maybe can't make it to church for one reason or another. White Elephant Gift Exchange, how people were brought together in different expressive ways, and then welcoming new people and helping them get plugged in to help others. The ASEC Tour de Saints, and right now, all coming together and getting to have fellowship and speak our minds. And then these past 2 years, and when we had a close relationship with the Black Lutheran Church in town, Jim brought that one up and wants to build that relationship back up. And then we said when we collect food for others.
Great, thank you. Can you put those in here for me? All right, let's go to this table right here. Who is our speaker at this table? You got voluntold.
Yes, I did.
Yes.
We had a lot of focus on outreach, as well as a sense of community was really important. But we also said, what is a high point? It is right now. And when are we doing God's work? We are always doing God's work.
Great. Thank you. If y'all put your sticky notes in that bag, I'll come back. How about this table? What did y'all say? All right, here we go.
Well, we had a lot of comments about the participation of the church in the outreaches for CCM, CVAN, the protest, and Aya House, and the participation of the church with Aya House. Also about the participation of the church and the Herculean effort that we made during COVID.
Thank you. If you put your sticky notes in here. All right, what about this tape? All right, Chuck.
So we had several themes. One is a couple of people really brought out the Maundy, Thursday service and the foot washing and how that all made them feel much more part of the church, as well as the prayer vigil. So the dinner, the foot washing, the prayer vigil around Maundy, Thursday. Christmas and Easter were high points, and the Christmas spirit goes from Thanksgiving to Christmas all the way to Easter. A couple of comments on Tour de Saints as well as the Country Fair, how we come together as a community. A lot of us work to support both those events and the accompanying outreach funds that were raised. New ministries that we found in Koinonia, the Academic Learning Center outreach, and the Aya House outreach. Also, erasing the debt.
Great. Thank you. All right, how about this table?
We're a small but vibrant group back here. We had great discussion. We did mention erasing the debt with the capital campaign, and actually made a comment that in the fall of this year, the church as a whole was at a spiritual high point. We had spiritual formation. The kids were doing great things. Our church services, and it was as if all of our programs were just running beautifully.
Great. Will you put those sticky notes in that one? All right, where's our next? I'm going to go to this group. All right, here we go.
I think just like everybody was saying, one of the big things that came out of our group was the outreach. We talked about the Old Country Fair, the Tour de Saints. The gift tree was one that was also brought up because it was a way for us to get involved with and helping the community and working with the community and meeting new people. We also talked about the youth program that is now thriving, and very thankful for Ms. Tiffany's leadership for being able to have the youth in the program, plus also involving the youth in the service and being front and center, because I think that's both of those is what's helping thrive the more youth coming to the church.
Thank you. Put your sticky notes in here. Can you take, if y'all could take that, and I'll come back for it. Thank you. I think did I miss a back table back here? Wait, I did miss y'all? No. Nope. Okay. All right. Sorry about that. Let's go here to this group. All right, Joy Marie. We're definitely hearing some themes going on, and we are in kind of communion with the groups that spoke so far as outreach toward the saints, after dark at All Saints, the fact that we're really an outward-facing community, and that in what we've been involved in, that's been a high point for all of us. And then just the high point being now, which we had that answer as well in this group, and bringing in from Tour de Saints, bringing in members of the community from Aya House to help us, and just having that welcoming, outward-facing community overall theme of this church, and just feeling welcome here, especially for a lot of us newcomers, feeling welcome from the moment we walked in the door. Thank you. Will you put sticky notes in here? If you take that. All right. Who is all right.
We said very similar things about the community thing. The way that we talked about it in our group is that we are a doing church, not a sit and think about it church. And one of the things that we highlighted to kind of vary the theme a little bit is how important it is that we are a multi-generational church, that it's not just older folks. We have kids and families and everyone in between. So those things together, being a church where there's lots of growth and opportunity for young folks, and then the doing piece.
Great. Thank you. Can I leave this? Oh, perfect. How about this? Okay, here we go. You ready? Yes.
So a few answers that we saw in our group were, we mentioned the mission trip to Costa Rica over the summer of last year, when we went to repaint the San Marcos school in Limon. We mentioned how, like, when doing volunteer work, in a lot of situations, and especially this church, it kind of grows that kind of camaraderie between members of the congregation, where, you know, it's like kind of like that shared like growth and shared like spirituality. We had the suicide awareness education forum from a few years ago mentioned, where, you know, the church saw like what had happened and like responded to that, and, you know, we all grew in a way because of that. And we also saw right now thrown around, you know, kind of how much community there is in this interaction around Reverend Nancy's retirement. How like we all kind of banded together to give her like one last hurrah as a priest for us. And then I also added music, and how musical the congregation is, and how we're able to kind of share like our arts and our talent with the congregation, and, you know, make a joyful noise to the Lord.
Thank you. We'll put those sticky notes in there. All right, I'm going to come back to this group. I'm going to get this group over here that I walked past earlier. All right, it's a labyrinth of sorts here. All right, who's our speaker?
Okay, our group has some old school folks in it, so bear with us. What we found is the strength that was mentioned by several was the strength of all the different ministries within All Saints, the ones that we have now, which just add so much value, and there's such a high point for now. We also had discussed, a few of us, the strength of the Old Country Fair that we used to have. Not that it's different from the strength of the Tour de Saints, because all of those two elements, if you remember the Old Country Fair, were to bring the entire congregation together as one. But the difference that we'd found was that some within the Old Country Fair, every congregational member had something that they were responsible to do. They were, you know, something to show up for that whole weekend. The entire congregation became as one. So you didn't necessarily have maybe folks that rode, or folks that came at 9, or folks that came at 11. It was one unit. And what John mentioned is that even though no one was called out, they kind of knew who maybe had helped or who had not. So it was all together. And that's where I really believe, and what I remember the strength of All Saints being. All at one, serving God, serving his mission all at one time. Because the friendships and the bonds and things that are made then, you knew everyone in the entire church. And it's not that you do now. I had moved away, so there are several folks that I don't know when I came back. But there was a strength there that I think a lot of us, I see some heads nodding. And with the Tour de Saints, the fact of emphasizing a different way of serving, and a different way of improving ourselves in the ministry through health and through different things to do. So essentially, it's the strength of the congregation functioning as one.
Randy, I'm coming to your group. Are you our speaker?
I'll rattle off our list very quickly. Debt paid off, all the recent new families. We do holy days well, and the way we minister to people during significant occasions like marriages and funerals. Diverse opportunities for participation, and we welcome people to participate in the events that have been mentioned already, such as Tour de Saints, After Dark, Lay Eucharistic Ministry, Racial Equity. This one I find particularly interesting, the way it was framed, that being a church where all are welcome was not one moment, but was a process over time, and we mean it. Responsiveness to current events, such as nationalism and how to find and identify God in the midst of those events, and how All Saints responded during the pandemic with our enhanced virtual worship services, and people found us, discovered us online during that time, and also with our backyard worship services, neighbors got to know each other better.
Thank you. All right, who is our speaker here? Bob?
Yes, I am. We had a lot of commonalities with all the other groups. Basically, we felt that All Saints is strongest and at a high point when we combine community and outreach. Those are the two things that really moved us. Canoga, as an example, brought us together as a community. A lot of the things that we did in the past, we had Country Fair, which I think we've all mentioned. At one point, we built a Habitat house, and those things help us build community, as do other things we've done. We've had movie nights, we've had game nights, we've had entertainment nights. All those things to bring us together as a group help us and support us to go out to the community and provide help to the community as one voice.
All right, here we go.
Yeah, so ours was similar to other groups here, but we talked about the capital campaign and just the fact that paying off the debt enabled the church to be able to, do more things in the community. We also talked about, how the capital campaign that led to paying off the debt brought people together in the church. We did it internally, and also we had a service where different members in the church were able to talk about how important the church was and the impact the church had on their lives. We also had people talk about how group meetings like this shows how we're like a family and how it's inclusive and not just something where it's a hierarchy making decisions. We talked about how getting kids involved in activities in the church also makes us feel like the mission and God's work is being done. We talked about how in a recent service many people were being baptized and confirmed, and that was moving to members in the group as well.
I'll share for our group. And I was just thinking about like, okay, how could I build on things that other people said that we said also, but then that got complicated because there was a lot of really good ideas that connected with things that we spoke about. So I'm just gonna focus on the pieces that we spoke about here. All right, so one piece that we valued in our church and saw as a high point was that we are connected with the community. We are deeply committed to serving others, feeding our neighbors, the food pantry. We also talked about how during COVID, our response to continuing worshiping was important and impactful for a lot of folks within this congregation, and a moment where a lot of churches were seeing a struggle was a moment where our church began to take a new shape and build momentum. We noted how we are a welcoming community, that newcomers don't feel like newcomers for very long, and a lot of times when they come the first time, they feel like they have been here before and are connected with people. The energy in our worship was something that we also talked about. There has been increased participation in the worship from all levels of folks. There's been a lot of people who have been stepping in during worship to help make it happen. And as far as the music ministry in particular, there were people, we talked about how there were people who were not singing and are now singing, and there is the feeling of the Holy Spirit in the music ministry that we have. We also talked about our youth program as being somebody who was part of our youth program or a parent in our youth program when there was 2 children who were ours to now countless numbers of children. We just talked about how, like, within this growth, there's also been really important, a really deep spiritual connection and a number of transformative experiences, such as the Costa Rica mission trip, that has been made visible by our youth speaking about these experiences to the congregation. And also our congregation has stepped up around that as well. Like, there's been, as the community, youth community grew, we needed more volunteers, and there have been people just pouring into that. And so it's felt like a whole congregation focus. We feel like we noted the momentum going from a place where we were in debt, in the capital campaign, to exceeding our needs and being able to do a lot of really important work. And we feel like, just as a whole, our congregation is moving in the direction of active, purpose-filled, God-filled work that involves folks from all levels and all interests and all willingnesses to be connected.
Great, thank you. All right, and this group, I think.
Lots of the same. Capital campaign and getting rid of the debt, but also being able to use that to develop our beautiful Child Development Center. Our pivot in COVID, which has been mentioned, and how amazingly that was done with the help of lots of people who were good with communication. Our outreach ministries, even our small ones, and this is a new hashtag, our Hub for Good. And our music ministries, our youth and child programs, children program, and our great coordinator of those programs.
Sticky notes in here. Did I get to every table? All right. And did you hear anything that you didn't know about? Yeah, some. What about, I heard so many, I saw them written down, but I heard so many instances that said essentially now. Like, now is the time. And I think that's very telling of y'all. You ready for question number 2? Question number 2 is lightning round, okay? You've got 1 minute to do this. Name 3 things that you value most about this congregation. Mark, set, go.